Hello again. That a huge number of immigrants from Africa and Asia are flooding Europe is, I think, beyond dispute. That many of them have as their ultimate destination this country is also, I suppose, something most of us would also accept as being true. The flotsam and jetsam camped on the beaches of northern France testify to the veracity of that belief. Whether all this is happening by accident or design is the question I would like to address this afternoon. Before doing so, I would like to make a general observation, which is that we far prefer it if our misfortunes can be seen to have a clear and readily identifiable cause. If we develop lung cancer and are heavy smokers, then that makes sense. If, on the other hand, we are non smoking teetotal vegetarians and find that we have lung cancer, this appears to be against nature. We don't like it. There is no cause and effect, and the random nature of the thing is disturbing. We like to know that when things happen, they happen for a reason. We hope that there is an explanation. And in the case of mass immigration, we would like to see a clear cut explanation for what is happening rather than assume that the whole business is just one of those weird geopolitical blips which occur from time to time for no particular reason. This is simply human nature. It is also, unfortunately, human nature that when a war, famine, plague, or other dreadful situation crops up, there is a tendency to blame the Jews for it. I'm not going to go into the reasons for this, it is simply what happens. When there was a world war, Adolf Hitler based his entire political career on blaming the Jews. In Tsarist Russia, a bad harvest could also be blamed on the Jews. In medieval Europe, epidemics were often blamed on them. They have over the centuries been an ideal scapegoat for all kinds of unpleasant things, and so it is only natural that when something as undesirable as mass immigration should strike Europe, the old notion of attributing it to the Jews should be brought out, dusted off, repainted, and presented to a 21st century audience as the explanation for the evils which we face. Now, the simple fact of the matter is that if you start from a belief, then you will certainly be able to find evidence to support it. This is the case whether we are talking about global warming, the existence of the deity, a link between vaccines and autism, or anything else. The world is full of patterns, and which we recognize tells us at least as much about ourselves as it does about the external and veridical world around us. This is not to say, of course, that the Jews are not behind the current wave of immigration to this country, but that if you start from that assumption, then plenty of evidence will seem to confirm the idea. For example, once you start thinking about Jews and immigration, you'll notice prominent rabbis and Jewish academics who are boasting of what a wonderful thing the multicultural society is and how they have played a role in bringing it about. This can sound pretty damning, and when you bring in some crank like Barbara Lerner Specter, a woman who has strong views on the subject, is certainly Jewish, but has no influence whatsoever in the world, then you might feel that the evidence is stacking up. The problem is that if we started from a different perspective and perhaps set out from the belief that the Catholic Church, say, or even the Church of England, was at the back of it all, then we would soon find evidence to support that view. Never mind about Barbara Lerner Specter. Have you heard the kind of things which the new Archbishop of Canterbury has to say about immigration? She's worse than Barbara Lerner Specter. Or, for that matter, the new Archbishop of Westminster, leader of the Catholics in Britain. Many of us cheered when we heard what Jim Ratcliffe had to say about colonisation. Cardinal Moth says, "The language is unfortunate, and I think that approach that he expressed is deeply unfortunate. I would disagree with it wholeheartedly." Maybe those pesky Catholics are the ones behind all the immigration rather than the Jews. I suppose the point which I'm making is simply that if we begin from seeing immigration as a plot masterminded by the Anglican Church or the Catholics, the Communists or Jews, then we could find just as much evidence to back up our belief. I'm open-minded about the business, but I generally apply Hanlon's razor to such matters, meaning that when we are harmed by some action or situation which arises, it's more likely to be due to ignorance, carelessness, misunderstanding, or stupidity than a deliberate evil intention.